The stars above Nereid 7 twinkled like scattered diamonds across a black velvet sky. The colony's lights shone faintly below, tiny markers of human determination on a distant world. Commander Elias Kane stood on the observation deck of the central station, arms crossed, his eyes tracing the movement of the spacecraft above. The shuttle that would carry him to the Surin diplomatic chamber rested in the hangar, ready, sleek, and silent. Elias felt a rush of confidence. Humans had always faced challenges, and this mission would be no different. Dr. Leora Vance entered quietly, her boots making soft taps against the polished floor. She carried herself with the calm assurance of someone used to thinking 10 steps ahead, yet Elias noticed the tension in her posture. "Commander," she said softly, "before you leave, I need to warn you." "About the Surin," she said, meeting his gaze steadily. "They are not like any other species we have encountered. They perceive more than words. Every tone, every hesitation, every subtle implication, they can sense it. They know intention in a way humans cannot. One careless statement could alter your negotiation before it even begins. We can adapt. We've faced worse than this and come out ahead every time. Or you risk shaking them in ways you cannot control. Confidence is one thing, careless pride is another." Elias and his team sat in the shuttle, staring at the stars rushing past the viewports. The Surin had agreed to meet them on neutral ground, deep within a crystalline asteroid field. It was a location chosen deliberately, a place that resonated with sound and amplified even the smallest vibrations. The Surin believed it helped them perceive truth more clearly. Elias had heard the stories about the Surin. They were an ancient species, their civilization older than humanity by thousands of years. Known for their intelligence, composure, and formidable presence, they were both respected and feared. No human had yet been able to claim complete understanding of their motives or thoughts, and yet Elias felt no fear. Humanity had always found a way to prevail. As the shuttle approached the chamber, Elias reviewed the protocols in his mind. They would introduce themselves, exchange pleasantries, outline humanity's goals, and hopefully establish a framework for cooperation. Simple in theory. When the shuttle docked, a wave of quiet energy greeted them. The chamber was vast, its walls crystalline and translucent, catching the light in a rainbow of colors. The floor hummed softly beneath their feet, a subtle vibration that seemed almost alive. Elias stepped forward confidently, extending his hand as the Surin appeared from the crystalline shadows. Shirel, the Surin envoy, was breathtaking in her calmness. Her form shimmered slightly, like light bending through water. Her eyes, deep and crystalline, held a weight of perception that made Elias instinctively straighten his posture. There was a serenity about her, yet a subtle intensity that suggested nothing about her could be taken lightly. "Welcome," Elias said, his voice steady. "I am Commander Elias Kane of the Nereid 7 human colony. We are honored to meet you. Our achievements in exploration and science show our dedication and capability." Leora, standing just behind him, placed a hand on his shoulder. Her touch was light, but her message was clear. "Stop," she whispered. "You've crossed a line you do not understand." He opened his mouth to clarify, to add context, but Shirel raised a slender hand, signaling him to stop. The chamber remained silent for a long moment. Elias felt a tension coil around his chest. He had expected resistance, questions, maybe a cautious response. But this was something different. Shirel's reaction was not anger. It was something deeper, a ripple through her being that suggested a principle had been touched, one humans could not fully comprehend. Finally, she spoke, her voice calm but resonant. "Human words carry weight. Even those meant as pride can unsettle. You must understand that we perceive not just what is said, but why it is said. Your tone has disturbed the balance of this meeting." It required empathy, restraint, and an understanding of perception far beyond human norms. Leora's hand squeezed his shoulder. "This is why I warned you," she said quietly. "It's not arrogance that will hurt us, it's ignorance. You didn't expect your words to shake her, but now you see the truth. Everything matters." Humans had always adapted. They had always found a way to overcome challenges. And now, perhaps the greatest challenge was not technology or strategy, but communication itself. The Surin did not demand an apology, nor did they show hostility. They simply waited, observing, allowing Elias to recognize the error in his approach. For the first time, he understood that a single misstep could have consequences far beyond what humans could calculate. The rest of the meeting proceeded with careful steps. Elias measured each word, each tone, each gesture. He relied on Leora's guidance, on her understanding of the subtle interplay between human intention and Surin perception. Slowly, a dialogue began, not the bold, confident statements Elias had initially envisioned, but a careful exchange that conveyed both respect and humanity's unique qualities. By the time the meeting ended, Elias felt a profound shift within himself. Humans were strong, bold, and intelligent, yes, but they were also capable of reflection, learning, and adaptation. In this moment, he realized that these traits, the ability to perceive error, to correct it, to bridge gaps of understanding, were perhaps humanity's greatest advantage. As the shuttle carried him back to the colony, Elias stared out at the stars once more. The Surin were a mirror, reflecting not only the strengths of humanity but also its vulnerabilities. He understood now that every word, every action, every choice mattered more than he had ever realized. Leora remained beside him, her expression unreadable but calm. "You see it now," she said softly. "Humans are remarkable not because we are flawless, but because we can learn, grow, and adapt. Even when we falter, we find a way forward." Boldness alone could not define humanity. It was the combination of courage, ingenuity, and humility that made them exceptional. He had spoken carelessly, shaken an ancient mind, and yet through understanding and reflection, they had begun to build a bridge that might last for generations. The stars of Nereid 7 shone brightly, and for the first time, Elias felt the true weight and beauty of humanity's potential. They had faced an unexpected challenge, and in doing so, they had revealed the essence of what made them extraordinary. The journey was only beginning, but Elias Kane knew one truth above all. Humans were capable of far more than they often realized, and sometimes the smallest mistake could lead to the greatest lesson. And with that, the shuttle cut through the darkness, carrying humanity's boldest yet humblest emissary toward the horizon of the unknown, where courage, intelligence, and heart would define their place among the stars. The shuttle glided silently through the asteroid field, carrying Elias Kane and his team back to Nereid 7. The hum of the engines was steady and reassuring, but Elias could not shake the unease in his chest. Every time he closed his eyes, he could see Shirel's crystalline gaze, calm yet piercing, as if it had reached into a part of him he had never expected to reveal. Dr. Leora Vance sat across from him, her eyes scanning the faintly illuminated dashboard. She was quiet at first, letting the silence fill the shuttle. Then finally she spoke. "You didn't just speak too boldly," she said. "You created a ripple." Shirel's reaction was not anger or confusion, it was shock. "You challenged a Surin principle without realizing it." "I simply spoke of our achievements." He had always trusted human boldness. Human explorers had claimed planets, negotiated with species that had lifespans longer than entire human civilizations, and survived disasters that would have destroyed weaker species. Pride, he had believed, was a natural tool, proof of achievement, a way to gain respect. But now he realized the limits of that approach. Leora's gaze softened. "Do not be discouraged. Humans have a quality that no Surin, no matter how intelligent, can match easily. We learn, we adapt, we reflect on our mistakes. That is what makes us extraordinary. But you must understand the weight of your words and the subtleties of perception in ways we rarely consider." He had always prided himself on observation and logic, but this encounter had shown him there was more to interstellar diplomacy than strategy and protocol. The nuances of emotion, perception, and ethical resonance could carry more power than any weapon or invention humanity possessed. The shuttle passed through a cluster of glowing asteroids, their surfaces catching the faint light from distant stars. Elias' team remained quiet, aware that this was a moment of reflection for their leader. Finally, one of the junior officers spoke. "Commander, do you think we've offended them permanently? We may stumble, but we find a way to build bridges again. That is what we do. We will find a way to communicate our respect and our intentions without triggering fear or imbalance." Rumors swirled. Some celebrated Elias' boldness, seeing it as a reminder of humanity's courage, while others feared the consequences of upsetting a species as powerful and enigmatic as the Surin. In the communications hub, Leora began working on analyzing every detail of the exchange. The Surin chamber had amplified every nuance, every pause, every inflection. With their perception so acute, even small inconsistencies in tone or intention could register as profound disturbances. She compiled her observations, comparing them with known Surin responses from previous human interactions. The results were sobering. Elias' words had not just been bold. They had challenged the Surin's ethical framework, though unintentionally. The reaction was subtle enough that humans might not notice it at first, yet significant enough to require careful handling. Elias entered the hub, watching her work. "What's the verdict?" he asked. Leora looked up, her expression calm but firm. "We are not in danger of immediate conflict, but your words have created a ripple. The Surin will remember this moment. How we respond now will determine whether the ripple grows into a wave or fades into understanding. That is our greatest strength." The next day, Elias convened a meeting with his delegation. The room was filled with scientists, diplomats, and military officers, all eager for direction. Elias began by recounting the events of the meeting, carefully avoiding embellishment. He spoke plainly, acknowledging both human confidence and the unintended impact of his words. "Humans have faced challenges before, and we have always adapted," he said. "But we cannot rely solely on boldness. Understanding, reflection, and empathy are equally important. We have the chance now to build trust with a species that could teach us more than we could ever teach them. Our task is not to impress, but to connect. To show that humans are remarkable not because we dominate, but because we learn and grow." Over the following days, Leora and the team worked tirelessly to craft a response. They studied Surin culture, ethics, and communication patterns. Every sentence was weighed, every inflection considered. It was meticulous work, requiring patience and creativity. Elias observed, learning alongside them. Each day he felt a growing respect for the subtle brilliance of the Surin, and for humanity's ability to meet that brilliance not with force, but with thoughtfulness. Finally, a message was prepared. It was not long, but it was carefully chosen. It acknowledged the unintentional disruption, conveyed human intentions sincerely, and expressed a willingness to cooperate and learn. It was a message designed not to boast or dominate, but to bridge the gap between two very different species. As the message was transmitted, Elias felt a sense of anticipation. They had taken a bold step, not in speech, but in humility and understanding. Humanity's nature, its curiosity, courage, and adaptability was on display, even in a gesture as simple as carefully chosen words. The hours that followed were tense. Every signal from the Surin was scrutinized, every response analyzed. Then finally a reply came. Shirel's voice, calm and resonant, filled the communication channel. "Humanity is bold," she said, "but boldness tempered with reflection is strength. Your message demonstrates understanding. We will continue dialogue." The colony below shimmered in quiet light, a testament to human persistence and resilience. "You see it now," Leora said softly. "Humans are not perfect. We falter, we stumble, we even shake minds we do not intend to shake. But we can also learn, adapt, and grow. That is why we endure. Our words are powerful, perhaps more powerful than any technology we possess. And our true strength lies not in what we can build, but in what we can learn, and how we apply that knowledge. Even when we shake someone's world, we can mend it." Nereid 7 was just one colony among many, but it was a beacon of human potential. And Elias Kane knew that the journey ahead, both with the Surin and beyond, would test every ounce of human ingenuity, courage, and heart. But now, for the first time, he understood that humanity's greatest power was not its technology, its weapons, or its speed, but its capacity to reflect, adapt, and connect across the vast unknown of space. The shuttle's hum from the hangar below was a distant reminder of the missions still to come. The stars stretched endlessly, and Elias felt a quiet determination settle within him. One day, humans and Surin might explore the galaxy together, not as rivals, but as allies. And it would begin with understanding, one carefully chosen word at a time. For the first time, Elias realized that the words he had once spoken carelessly, the words that had shaken Shirel, could also become the very bridge that connected two species across the void. And humanity, as always, would rise to the challenge. The calm after the initial encounter with Shirel did not last long. Even as humanity worked to craft careful messages and maintain dialogue, the subtle effects of Elias Kane's words began to ripple across both the Surin and human communities. Elias woke early that morning, staring out over Nereid 7. The colony was quiet, the thin atmosphere glowing faintly under the light of the nearby star. The events of the previous week weighed heavily on his mind. He had believed that a single misstep could be corrected with patience and humility. Yet, even with the Surin's measured response, he could feel that something deeper had shifted. The ripple Leora had warned him about was no longer just a metaphor. It was a reality. In the communications hub, Leora worked alongside the team of analysts and linguists, studying every nuance of the Surin response. The Surin communicated differently from humans. Their words were precise, but their meanings were layered with perception, intention, and ethical resonance. One phrase, one subtle inflection could indicate trust or caution depending on context. "Look at this," Leora said, pointing to a holographic display of Shirel's previous messages. "Notice how she repeats certain structures in her language. It's a pattern of observation and testing. They are analyzing not just what we say, but how we think. Our next move must demonstrate both understanding and adaptability." Every challenge was an opportunity to learn, and this one was no different. He nodded slowly. "Then we adapt, we adjust, we show them who we are, not just with words, but with intention." The Surin were ancient, intelligent, and cautious, but they were not unapproachable. Humanity's strength had always been in its ability to learn, to grow, and to find solutions where others saw none. Elias called a team meeting to discuss the upcoming engagement. The room buzzed with quiet energy, the kind that came from focus and determination. He spoke plainly, recounting the events and emphasizing the lesson. "Our words carry more weight than we sometimes realize," he said. Shirel's reaction reminded us that perception can outweigh intention, but that is not a weakness, it is a challenge. Humans thrive on challenges. We adapt, we reflect, and we act with insight. That is what we will do here. Every statement we make must reflect thought, respect, and honesty. But it must also carry the essence of humanity, our creativity, courage, and willingness to learn. We have an opportunity to show them the true strength of humanity. It was meticulous work, demanding patience and care. By evening, the message was ready. Elias reviewed it one last time, feeling a strange mix of nervousness and anticipation. He had spoken boldly once, causing a ripple that had shaken Shirel in ways he did not anticipate. Now he hoped that careful, thoughtful words could create a bridge instead of a disturbance. When the message was sent, the waiting began. Hours passed slowly as the colony went about its work. Everyone understood the importance of this moment. The Surin did not respond quickly, as they rarely did. Their patience was part of their nature, a reflection of their long history and careful thought. Finally, a response arrived. Shirel's voice filled the communication chamber, calm and resonant. "Humanity continues to surprise," she said. "Boldness tempered with reflection is a strength. Your message demonstrates thoughtfulness and intention. You have learned from your misstep, and that is recognized. We are willing to continue dialogue." The ripple was no longer a disturbance. It was a bridge. Humanity had adapted, reflected, and acted with intention, and the Surin had acknowledged it. In the following days, a cautious collaboration began. Shirel invited Elias and his team to participate in shared research and exploratory missions. The Surin were careful observers, testing human creativity and problem-solving skills. They set challenges that required collaboration, reasoning, and adaptation. Each task was a measure of human ingenuity, not just intelligence, but emotional awareness and the ability to work with others under pressure. Elias found himself in awe. Humanity had often measured its progress by achievements, discoveries, and technology. But these challenges demanded something more subtle: understanding, empathy, and the ability to learn from observation. It was a different kind of excellence, one that resonated with the Surin in ways Elias had never imagined. One such mission involved navigating a network of unstable tunnels on a distant asteroid. The tunnels shifted constantly, making maps unreliable. Humans had to rely on intuition, teamwork, and careful observation. The Surin watched silently as the human team adapted, using tools and techniques that were innovative and unpredictable. Elias realized that humanity's greatest strength lay in its ability to improvise while maintaining focus, a combination of boldness and reflection. During these missions, Leora remained a constant presence, guiding the team and interpreting subtle cues from the Surin. She noted every change in posture, tone, and reaction, helping Elias understand not just the tasks, but the underlying principles guiding the Surin. Her insights revealed patterns that humans could learn from, and through this exchange, both species began to understand each other in ways that went beyond words. As the days turned into weeks, the colony noticed a transformation. The human team grew more confident, not in arrogance, but in capability and understanding. They learned to communicate with precision, to anticipate consequences, and to adapt quickly. At the same time, they retained the essence of humanity, creativity, courage, and curiosity. The Surin, in turn, responded with increasing trust, testing humans less and engaging more in collaboration. Elias reflected on the journey so far. His initial misstep had been a powerful lesson. A careless statement had shaken Shirel, but it had also set in motion a process of growth and understanding. Humans had responded not with defensiveness, but with thoughtfulness and determination. In doing so, they had demonstrated the qualities that truly defined them. One evening, Elias stood on the observation deck, looking out at the stars. Leora joined him quietly, her presence steady and reassuring. "You've done well," she said softly. "The ripple has become a current and it's moving toward understanding. Humanity is showing what it can do, not just with words, but with action, reflection, and heart. I always thought boldness was our greatest strength, but now I see it is our ability to learn, to adapt, and to act with intention that makes us remarkable. That is the essence of human potential." Across the galaxy, countless unknowns awaited, each demanding intelligence, courage, and heart. But now he knew that humanity possessed all three in abundance, and that even mistakes could become stepping stones toward understanding and progress. The next mission was already in planning. It would take humans and Surin into a previously unexplored nebula, a region of space filled with unstable energy fields and mysterious phenomena. It would require teamwork, ingenuity, and trust, and humanity, Elias knew, was ready. For the first time, he truly understood the power of reflection. Words could shake minds, but actions and intentions could build bridges. Humanity had learned this lesson well, and they were stronger for it. The stars stretched endlessly, but Elias felt a profound connection to them now. Humans were explorers, thinkers, and learners, capable of rising to challenges that even the most ancient civilizations could not anticipate. And the ripple that had once caused concern was now a current of opportunity, guiding humanity toward greater understanding and new horizons. Elias turned to Leora, gratitude and respect in his eyes. "Thank you," he said quietly, "for guiding me and for helping the team understand what it truly means to be human." "You did it yourself," she said. "You chose to learn to reflect and to act with intention. That is the heart of humanity. That is why we endure, and why we will continue to rise." Humanity had faced the Surin, adapted, and begun a journey toward mutual understanding. The ripple had become a current, carrying them forward into uncharted space, where courage, ingenuity, and heart would define their destiny. And in that moment, Elias Kane realized that humanity's greatest strength had never been in technology, weapons, or speed. It had always been in the ability to reflect, to adapt, and to rise after faltering, a lesson that would guide them through every challenge the universe could present. The nebula stretched across space like a swirl of color and light, its vibrant gases shifting in currents invisible to the eye. Nereid 7's research vessel hovered at the edge, a small human-made structure against the vast canvas of the galaxy. Commander Elias Kane stood on the bridge, staring out at the glowing clouds and thinking about the Surin. Their presence aboard the ship was subtle, almost ethereal, but it was unmistakably powerful. Shirel moved gracefully among the observation panels, her crystalline eyes observing every human movement, noting even the smallest gestures. Elias felt her awareness as tangibly as the hum of the engines. The Surin did not speak unnecessarily. They measured, listened, and reflected. Their silence was a reminder that perception could carry more weight than words. "This mission will test us," Elias said quietly to Leora Vance, who stood beside him, analyzing the data streams from the nebula. "We have never faced conditions like this before, and now we are working alongside the Surin. Our approach must be precise, yet adaptable. But we must also recognize the importance of collaboration. The Surin are patient and intelligent. They will observe, and they will expect us to adapt thoughtfully." The nebula was not merely a visual wonder. It was a complex, unstable environment filled with unpredictable gravitational fluctuations, energy surges, and pockets of volatile gases. Navigation required precision and intuition. One misstep could spell disaster for the crew and the vessel. The mission began with careful coordination. Humans and Surin worked together to plot the safest course through the shifting nebula. Elias oversaw the human team, while Shirel offered subtle guidance, pointing out patterns that humans might have missed. Every decision was a balance of human ingenuity and Surin observation, a blend of boldness and careful analysis. At first, the human crew struggled. The nebula was unpredictable, and their instruments, though advanced, could not anticipate every change. Sensors flickered, readings fluctuated, and the currents of energy forced rapid adjustments. Some crew members hesitated, unsure how to proceed. Elias moved among them, offering reassurance, insight, and encouragement. "Trust your instincts," he said calmly, "but also watch carefully. Learn from what you observe and adapt quickly. That is how humans succeed. Humans have a chance to anticipate changes if they work together. Adjust trajectory by 3 degrees starboard. Leora, calculate the safest path through the next sector." Elias felt a surge of pride. Humanity's strength was not in perfection. It was in the ability to act decisively, learn quickly, and adjust under pressure. In this moment, the combination of human ingenuity and Surin guidance created a synergy neither species could have achieved alone. As the ship stabilized, Shirel spoke for the first time during the crisis. Her voice was calm, yet carried authority. "Your species adapts quickly. You learn from observation. That is impressive." Unpredictable currents forced constant adaptation, and human creativity often provided solutions the Surin had not anticipated. They constructed temporary energy shields, recalibrated sensors in real time, and devised new maneuvers on the spot. With every obstacle, the human crew proved that boldness paired with reflection could produce remarkable results. Leora observed quietly, noting every human innovation and every moment of cooperation. "They are showing the Surin the essence of humanity," she said softly to Elias. "Courage, ingenuity, and collaboration. This is the lesson we bring to the galaxy." Every decision mattered, every word, every gesture, every calculation. And yet, he knew that these challenges were also opportunities. Opportunities to demonstrate that humanity was not defined solely by technology or force, but by adaptability, intelligence, and heart. During one particularly dangerous maneuver, the ship's sensors detected an unstable energy pocket directly in their path. Time was limited and hesitation could be fatal. Elias considered every option carefully. He knew that the Surin had calculated probabilities and observed patterns he might have overlooked, but he also trusted his team. "Prepare emergency thrusters," he ordered. "We will adjust trajectory using both sensor data and intuition. This is our moment to demonstrate human adaptability." Shirel's eyes reflected a subtle acknowledgement. "You anticipated the situation and acted decisively. Humans do not simply react, they adapt creatively. That is why you endure." Boldness, intelligence, and the willingness to learn had carried them through countless dangers, and now, even in the company of an ancient, intelligent species, those qualities shone brightly. The mission continued, but a bond had formed between humans and Surin. Mutual respect grew with every success, subtle as it might be. Humans began to understand the Surin's methods, and the Surin began to see the depth of human ingenuity. Each species learned from the other, and through collaboration, they achieved what neither could have accomplished alone. Elias reflected on the lessons of the nebula. His initial words to Shirel had shaken her unexpectedly, revealing the power of perception and intent. Yet that experience had also opened the door to growth and understanding. Humans had responded with humility, reflection, and action, and now they were demonstrating resilience and capability on a cosmic scale. Leora joined him on the observation deck that evening, watching the swirling colors of the nebula through the thick viewing panels. "This is more than just a mission," she said. "It is proof that humanity can rise to any challenge. Even when we falter, we adapt. That is why we endure and succeed. And we are capable of all three." Each success reinforced the lesson that humanity's greatest strength was not mere courage, but the ability to learn, adjust, and rise to any challenge. By the time the mission concluded, the vessel emerged from the nebula intact and intact in spirit. Humans and Surin alike had learned from one another, their collaboration forming a foundation for future endeavors. Elias felt a sense of pride and humility, pride in his crew, humility in the face of the Surin's wisdom. Shirel approached him quietly as the vessel returned to the safe perimeter of Nereid 7. "You have exceeded expectations," she said. "Humans do not simply survive, they adapt, create, and endure. That is a rare quality among species. We have learned from our mistakes, observed carefully, and acted with intention. That is how humans grow stronger." The ripple caused by a single careless phrase had transformed into a current of achievement, collaboration, and mutual respect. Humanity had faced unexpected challenges and proven that its strength was not limited to boldness or technology, but rooted in reflection, learning, and heart. As the vessel docked and the crew disembarked, Elias addressed them quietly. Today we demonstrated who we are, not just in words, but in actions. We faced danger, adapted, and succeeded. That is the essence of humanity. Remember this, because it will guide us in every challenge yet to come. They had learned to trust each other, to think creatively under pressure, and to combine courage with reflection, qualities that defined humanity in the stars. Later, as night fell over Nereid 7, Elias and Leora stood together on the observation deck, gazing at the nebula fading into the distance. "We have done well," Elias said quietly, "but this is just the beginning. There will be more challenges, more opportunities to show who we are." Humanity's journey was far from over, and yet he knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, they could face them. Boldness, ingenuity, and reflection, paired with courage and heart, would guide them. The nebula might have been a test, but it was also proof. Humans were not only explorers, they were learners, adapters, and creators. They had faced an unpredictable and powerful environment, worked alongside an ancient species, and emerged not just successful but wiser. And as the stars stretched across the sky, Elias Kane understood the true lesson of the mission. Humanity's strength was not in being perfect, but in being capable of learning, adapting, and rising after every challenge. In the vastness of space, where the unknown awaited at every turn, that lesson would carry them farther than any engine or technology ever could. Humanity had proven itself once again. The stars stretched endlessly across the black canvas of space, glittering like scattered jewels in the void. Nereid 7 glimmered below, a small beacon of human determination on a distant world. Commander Elias Kane stood on the observation deck of the central station, staring out at the vast galaxy. The nebula mission had changed everything. Humans and Surin had faced the unknown together, and the lessons learned would shape interstellar relations for generations. Shirel, the Surin envoy, appeared beside him quietly. Her crystalline eyes reflected the light of the distant stars, calm yet alive with perception. "You have shown what humanity is capable of," she said. "Boldness tempered with reflection, courage paired with thought, creativity matched with understanding. You are remarkable." The entire crew, Leora, everyone aboard, we learned, we adapted, and we worked together. Humanity's strength is in how we respond when faced with the unexpected. That is rare among species. "You see it now," she said softly. "This is what makes humans extraordinary. We stumble, we learn, we grow, and we endure. That is why we have survived and thrived, even when facing challenges far beyond what any other species might endure. It is paired with reflection, adaptability, and empathy that we achieve true greatness. And humanity has all of that. Where humans offered creativity and adaptability, the Surin contributed wisdom, experience, and perception. Together, they navigated the unknown with a harmony neither species had thought possible. One of the new missions involved mapping a series of uncharted star systems with unstable gravitational anomalies. Human ingenuity and Surin observation were required to navigate the hazards safely. Elias oversaw the preparations, ensuring that both humans and Surin understood their roles. "This will test our collaboration," he told the team. "We will face conditions we cannot fully predict, but remember what we have learned. We adapt, we learn, we act with intention, and we support each other. That is how we succeed." They had learned the importance of trust, observation, and careful decision-making. They had seen how their mistakes could ripple outward, and they had discovered the power of reflection and adaptation. Humanity's confidence was now tempered with awareness, and the result was stronger than before. As the exploration mission began, the team encountered the expected dangers. Gravitational anomalies shifted without warning, energy surges threatened equipment, and sensors often provided conflicting readings. Yet, human creativity and Surin guidance allowed them to navigate the challenges. They built temporary shields, recalibrated systems in real time, and devised maneuvers that no single species could have anticipated. Elias watched his teamwork, pride and respect swelling within him. Humans were showing the Surin that their strength was not just in technology or numbers, but in ingenuity, adaptability, and courage. They could think quickly, act decisively, and reflect on every choice. They could learn from mistakes and turn setbacks into triumphs. That was what made humanity remarkable. Leora approached him quietly, observing the coordination between humans and Surin. They are learning from us and we from them, she said. This is how trust is built, through action, understanding, and shared experience. That is our true power. The success of the mission was celebrated aboard Nereid 7. Humans and Surin gathered together, sharing insights, stories, and experiences. The bond between the species had grown stronger, built on mutual respect, understanding, and a recognition of each other's strengths. Elias stood quietly at the edge of the gathering, watching the interactions. Humans were bold and innovative, the Surin patient and perceptive. Together, they had created something neither could have achieved alone. It was a testament to what could be accomplished when differences were respected and combined, rather than feared or ignored. Later that evening, Elias and Leora returned to the observation deck, looking out at the stars. The galaxy stretched endlessly before them, full of possibilities and challenges yet to be faced. Humanity has come far, Leora said softly. But this is just the beginning. There are countless mysteries, unknown worlds, and civilizations to encounter, and with what we have learned, we are prepared. We have learned that our words and actions carry power beyond what we imagine. One careless phrase once shook Shirel, but reflection and adaptability turned that moment into understanding, and now we are stronger for it. Humanity thrives not because we dominate, but because we grow from every experience. Elias felt a sense of calm determination. Humanity had the courage to explore, the intelligence to adapt, and the heart to connect across the stars. These qualities would guide them through every test the universe presented. In the quiet of the observation deck, Shirel joined them once more. "You have shown that humans are capable of extraordinary growth," she said. "Your species learns, adapts, and rises to challenges that would overwhelm others. That is why you endure. And it is why we will continue to explore together, not as separate species, but as allies. That is what defines humanity. That is why we endure and why we will continue to rise." Elias thought back to the first meeting with Shirel, to the careless words that had shaken her unexpectedly. What had begun as a mistake had become a journey of understanding, growth, and collaboration. Humanity had learned that even mistakes could be transformed into bridges, and that the power to adapt, reflect, and rise after faltering was the truest measure of strength. As he looked out at the stars, Elias Kane felt a profound sense of purpose. Humanity had faced challenges, faltered, learned, and grown. They had earned respect, forged bonds, and demonstrated that they were capable of extraordinary things. And the journey ahead, though filled with unknowns, was one they could meet with courage, intelligence, and heart. The stars above Nereid 7 shone like distant beacons, each one a reminder of possibility and hope. Humanity had begun to leave its mark on the galaxy, not through force, but through ingenuity, adaptability, and collaboration. They had shown that even when words could shake minds, they could also build bridges stronger than any technology. Elias turned to Leora and Shirel, standing between them, and felt the weight of the lesson. Boldness alone was not enough. Reflection, adaptability, courage, and heart were what defined humanity. These were the qualities that would guide them through every challenge, every unknown, and every star yet to be explored. The galaxy awaited, vast and full of mysteries, but Elias knew one truth above all. Humanity would rise not because it always acted perfectly, but because it could learn, grow, and act with intention. That was the essence of who they were. And in that moment, Elias Kane realized that humanity's place among the stars was secure, not through power, but through wisdom, courage, and the capacity to reflect and adapt. They had shaken the unknown, learned from it, and emerged stronger. The stars stretched endlessly, but humanity was ready. Bold, intelligent, adaptable, and resilient, they would continue to rise. And their story, one of courage, learning, and heart, was only beginning. The galaxy awaited, and humanity would answer its call.